fine.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Life After AEP webinar series. I am David Paul, your presenter, and bringing to you today a really fantastic product, one with which I feel very strongly about and am excited to share with you some details. I'm really excited to bring the presenter into our conversation. His name is Carter Graham. He is, and I'm proud to call him a personal friend as well as a business associate. Carter is the national sales director for the Phoenix Safe Harbor product, and he's going to be sharing with us all the details. We've also got a producer on the line with us who I'm not sure if we're having some technical difficulty with or not. But a little later on in the presentation, we're going to try to bring him in to share with us some details related to how he's using the product and what he finds to be most beneficial for his clients. So we've had a really great relationship with Phoenix for a couple of years now. I think we're probably going on 3 or 4 years. Carter, you have any insight on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. My name is Carter Graham. We've had a great relationship with AmeriLife, and Phoenix Safe Harbor term is just one of the products that we have on deck with you. We also have a Remembrance product line, which is for our final expense folks out there, which is a really hot product in comparison to any other final expense term product out there in the market. And we also have a full variety of annuities. But yeah, absolutely. We have a fantastic relationship, and business keeps on growing every year. Thank you for for the production.
So perfect. We're going to jump right on in. We've got a lot of things to cover. In fact, Carter's going to go through his presentation, and then we're going to take a look at the e-app platform so that you can become familiar with how to get some business written on the Safe Harbor product. And then as we go, I'm going to work on trying to get our producer on board and in the webinar with us, a little bit in the background. So bear with us while I try and get him in. But Carter, why don't you go ahead and start reviewing the product so that we don't waste any time and we keep things moving.
Fantastic. I appreciate it, David. Thank you very much. And again, this is just a couple of term-like products with Phoenix Safe Harbor. They've got a very specific niche within the marketplace, and that niche is we are second to none in that niche for a few different reasons, and we'll talk a little bit about that during the presentation. But as you see here, with this product right here, Phoenix has been around for over 165 years. One of the best things that my agents like to talk about with this particular slide is the fact that we insured Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, I mean, can you just imagine? I mean, you're talking about people in the middle market right now talking and insuring Abraham Lincoln, someone they can really relate to. It's awesome. And with the innovation of Phoenix Life within the marketplace, we've got a lot of firsts to be able to talk about. But without any further ado, let's talk a little bit about the overall product portfolio today, to where where is Phoenix's position in this particular marketplace. And we start with the annuities, the personal retirement annuity. It says it just like it is. That's when you're in the accumulation phase. Your personal income annuity, that's when you want your clients to get into the distributions or the income portion. We've got some of the hugest income producing annuities out in the market. Remembrance Life and Safe Harbor Term Life, again, These are the two of the life products. Remembrance, in an earlier presentation with AmeriLife, Biff Baker, talked about a Remembrance. And one awesome thing about the Remembrance Life product that it has a critical illness rider included in the product at no additional cost. But and again, we also have the personal protection annuity, which again, it protects your client from long-term care and other assets that they might have. Moving on to the actual why are we talking about Phoenix? Why are we talking about this particular product? It covers a wide variety of middle market protections. And the reason I say that is that many of our agents out there, they sell it in a mortgage protection scenario. They sell it for a quick and easy solution to getting their clients insured within 24 to 48 hours. We do have dependent protection, as well as the living benefits about this particular plan is one of the things that sets this quick issue product apart from the competition, because all the living benefits included at no additional cost. And the reason why we include these living benefits are these startling statistics. 1 out of 2 and 1 out of 3 women, have some form of cancer. I mean, that's a startling fact. 3 out of 4 Americans today, are going to have some type of chronic or critical illness. Every 44 seconds, someone has a heart attack in the United States. And that's where these policies really come to play, because it's not like the old life insurance that, your mom and dad or grandparents used to buy back in the day when they had, a life insurance sale to be able to, protect their funeral expenses. This is so much more today, and you can see where the living benefits has really impacted and picked up sales all throughout the country, and it's only been around for a short period of time. So let me talk a little bit about all encompassing with the living benefits with the term product here. We have a 10, a 15, a 20, and a 30-year term that has all the living benefits that you see right there, all of them, and it's included with a simple EAP process. No paramed, no APS, no nothing. So you're looking at a product that's not going to APS your clients. And when I say that, that's for clients that are under age 64. So when you're talking 18 to 64, you're gonna submit the application versus via e-application, and we're gonna do our background checks, and we're gonna issue that thing, like I said, within 24 to 48 hours. Now there's 2 products to look at here. There's Safe Harbor Term Express on the left, and then there's Safe Harbor Term on the right. You can see where the Safe Harbor Term Express on the left, it goes up from $25,000 in death benefit to $400,000. That's the main thing that I really want to get across there. Is it goes up to a maximum of $400,000 non-med. No one else out in the market is gonna do that for you, and do it with no paramed, blood, urine, or APS. We have, and if you look at this, ages 71 to 80. We're going to be issuing, again, no APS, no blood. Well, I'm sorry, over age 64, we will APS. So we're going to, be able to go up to age 64, no APS, but it's going to be still no paramed, blood, and urine all the way up to age 80. And then we have the Safe Harbor Term Life on the right-hand side. And the Safe Harbor Term Life on the it goes up to $500,000 non-med. Again, all the way up to age 80, and minimum issue is $50,000. Let's take a look at the living benefits. The living benefits about the plan. Many of you all, if you're familiar with them, we have all the core living benefits that any other carrier would like to have out there. We have advanced. We can advance up to 95% of the death benefit in the event of a critical illness, a chronic illness, or a terminal illness, with absolutely no waiting periods. We have a lot of carriers out there today that do apply, waiting periods as much as 2 years on some of those benefits. We don't have any waiting periods on that. And, being as that is that, why are we talking about chronic and critical illnesses and terminal illnesses? Well, let's face it, people are living longer today. And, the chance of survival of a heart attack, and you might want to write this down, survival of a heart attack is 60%. Survival of a stroke is 70%, breast cancer, 87%, prostate cancer, 98%. But here's the most startling fact of all, is that 1.5 million Americans are going to declare bankruptcy this year, and all due to medical bills. Medical bills because they got better. They didn't die. So their life insurance that they bought years ago is never going to pay a single claim, to where this life insurance is going to pay that claim. Again, 1.5 million Americans are going to declare bankruptcy, financial ruin, because they got sick. They weren't able to work. They couldn't pay the bills. And this is where the rubber hits the road when you're talking about middle America going, how can you survive a heart attack or a cancer to where it takes 6 months out of your work life? It's devastating, and we see it every day. But this can allow your clients to access, again, up to 95% of the death benefit.
Yeah, Carter. Yeah. Carter, this is one of those things that I really, really want to make sure that our producers are paying attention to the value here. And so a couple of years ago, when we first were introduced to this product, I looked at it and I thought, wow, how can they do this? These are, really great riders to be able to offer, that, as long-term care coverage sales decline throughout the United States, you start seeing carriers, put these type of riders on policies, and Phoenix has done a fantastic job at covering a lot of really important issues that are sort of declining throughout the country with the lack of long-term care sales. So not that it replaces long-term care in any way. I mean, it does offer, though, some really important financial protection when people are surviving much more, and while they survive, the quality of life after having survived a heart attack or a stroke or things of that nature, then their quality of life is far reduced, and their ability to work and so on are compromised to the point where this money is incredibly important.
You hit the nail on the head, David, and I appreciate that. And a couple of things that you look at as insurance agents. Where am I going to sell this plan? What is my market, and where is my niche? Well, you look at two different markets right off the bat. You look at the mortgage protection market. Anybody that sold mortgage protection in the past and their policy doesn't have living benefits, you can go in there and you can talk to them and say, hey, listen, only 3% of all mortgage foreclosures are due to death. Only 3%. When you talk to about a mortgage protection market and a mortgage protection agency, or in your backyard that's selling this, can you imagine the opportunities to be able to go into a home that they say I'm already protected, I have my plan with some other carrier, but that's only 3% of the protection. Only 3% are of mortgages foreclosed due to death. 48% of all businesses fail due to a critical illness. 48%. So, what are we protecting there? Why are we there? Why are we in front of our client? And what's our story? And that really is our story right there, is that if you have life insurance, you're only protected by 3%. That's it. I'm glad you got it, but let's protect the other 97%. Out of all the bankruptcies, over 62% of bankruptcies happen due to critical illness. But guess what? 75% of those people had health insurance. They still had to go bankrupt. Why? Because they couldn't pay the bills. That's why you're there, to educate your client on what we're talking about here today. And this product is going to ensure them within 24 to 48 hours you're going to get paid that much the very next day, and your client's going to be that much better off. It really is amazing.
And as we
So
go
we look
along,
at this.
Carter, just a moment, if I can interrupt. I'm sorry. I want to make sure that everybody knows that the opportunity for questions kind of exists along the entire timeline of our webinar. So if you're thinking of something and you want to type it into the chat window, I'm going to get to see whatever your question is, and I'll be sure to bring it up at a time that's appropriate, either during the conversation or at the end. But be sure to stick around all the way to the end, because we're gonna talk about the attendee bonus, or the Cash for Apps bonus at the end of the webinar. So be sure to stick around for details on that. And also I think we've worked out some of our technical problems with Mario. Mario, are you out there? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, David.
Okay, great. So now we can hear you. Everything's good. And Carter, you go right ahead and continue. Thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
Fantastic. Glad to have you on board, Mario. We're looking forward to your feedback, because you're out there every day. You're selling just a ton of this, and that's why we asked you to be on the phone call today. We appreciate your time. Your time is very valuable. We just have a few more things to cover here, and then we're going to talk about why this product is so valuable to you and your agency. But here in this, go ahead, sir.
So just looking forward to helping. Happy to.
Oh, great, fantastic. So this particular slide, just over a brush overview of this, you have a $250,000 death benefit. Randy accelerates 95% of her life insurance policy, and because of her critical illness, she receives a check for $110,624, and she still has a remaining death benefit at $12,500. Let me tell you, folks, $110,000 goes a long way when you can't work and you're worried about getting better, and you have your insurance companies that are not approving certain medications that are $3,000 and $4,000 a shot in order to be able to get your life back into order. That's where the $110,000 comes into play, folks, and that's why you need to sell this policy. And the same thing if we talk about a chronic illness benefit, it works much the same way, to where if your client is unable to perform 2 of the 6 activities of daily living, and they need help. They need help, everyday help, in order to just be able to survive, or perhaps spend the last 2 or 3 years of their remaining life benefit in the comfortable of their own home, and the comfort of their own home. So this is where these policies really come into play. And you're talking about premiums of $70 a month, $200 a month. It's way more affordable than everybody else out there. So we took a look at some of the optional riders that we have, as well as the included riders. It has a 6-month unemployment rider that's in certain states, to where if you become unemployed for at least 4 weeks, we'll go ahead and cover your premiums for up to 6 months. And then we have an accidental death benefit rider, which you can include. It's an additional cost, and we all put it onto an e-application platform, which it gets everything, all the information you need, as well as an electronic signature to be able to send it off to the home office. You can submit your applications via paper application, but I would not do that, because the home office will pay you 10% less commission. So we don't like that off. We don't even like talking about that stuff. We submitted the application, and it goes in and out in no time. So as far as the web address right there, it's very simple to be able to submit all the information on the e-platform as well. And we've got all the brochures that you would need in order to be able to sell it from point to sale, as well as easy product summaries to be able to learn on that side. It's approved in all the states except for Maine and New York. And this is kind of an interesting side. You can use your smartphone right now and just scan that barcode right there, and you'll be able to quote this product over the phone just that easily. And so when you're out and about and you're wondering how much this would really cost somebody, or somebody's interested, that's really the easiest way to be able to do that. And so we really like to be able to promote it that way, as well as on your desktop. The Phoenix Sales Net, again, it's a very friendly, intuitive way of tracking your business and making sure that if there are any outstanding requirements, you'll be able to get those up to the home office right away. And before we bring Mario, before we talk about the contest and the bonus, I'd like to David. I know you might have a couple of questions. I know the audience here might have a few questions. Mario, you work with every company out there known to man, and you're in this market. You really are probably one of the top salespeople that we have in our entire organization, and that's including the entire Phoenix organization. And can you maybe give some nuggets of truth to our people out there that are listening on this webinar as to where do you like to place this Phoenix product the most in comparison to your competition, and why?
Well, first of all, when I was introduced to the product, I fell in love with it because of the living benefits. I think that's a phenomenal, which is what you were speaking about earlier, the critical illness and the chronic illness. LTC is, most people can't afford an LTC product, a long-term care product. So this, of course, we all know that this is not a long-term care product, but it behaves like one. And once you expose your client, once I expose my clients to, the need, I sell based on need, the need for what was to happen to you, Mr. Business Owner, if you were sick for 6 months, but if you did have a heart attack. What happens to one of your key employees? What happens? Do you have a long-term care policy? Of course not. Really, very few people have one. And I always ask people, my fact finding, when was the last time you talked to somebody who had cancer? Well, you know the answer to that, Carter. Everybody knows somebody who's had cancer. If it's not been their husband or a wife or an aunt or uncle, everybody knows somebody. And when we ask them, what do you do in this time? Can you afford to be out of work for 6 months or a year? And the answer is always wow, wow, wow. And that really, once they realize that they can get all these products, all these benefits into one product, then that's what turns your average sale, instead of being $75 or $100, it turns it into $200, $250, $300, and $350, and occasionally a $400 or a $500 premium. And as you guys know, I write a lot of premium north of $250 on it, quite often, simply because they value the product. And and that's how I present it. And that's my biggest secret right there.
So one of the things I noticed, Mario, and you're right on target. So the thing that I've noticed the most is that people are actually insuring themselves with greater death benefits because of the fact that it's got the living benefits on it. So if they have a choice
Right.
of increasing that death benefit because of their own personal interest in having access to that money in the event that they do become sick, now they've got a completely different consideration. And I think, the psychology of the sale is important to understand that, me as the purchaser of the policy, I have the ability to have some flexibility with regards to how I utilize that money or how that money gets utilized. And if I need it, it's there for me. So certainly people are
Right.
buying, much greater death benefits. And I'm glad you pointed that out.
Well, if people buy for two reasons: either because they get a really warm, fuzzy feeling about it, or fear. You know, and once you really bring that into focus, if I was talking to you, David, and said, David, you're working all your life to build this business. What happens if you get a heart attack and you're out for a year? What happens to your business? Do you still have the same old type of life insurance policy that you have to die? And by the way, David, if you die, you're not going to get a nickel of it. Your wife is. What happens if you have a stroke? Do you want to depend on John or Harry or somebody to bring you a glass of water? Or do you want to have a stack of $100 bills in your pocket? And the more you delve into those living benefits and those critical illnesses, their eyes light up and they start to glow. My only complaint with Phoenix is I wish that the whole life was really like about $500,000, because we sell a lot more of that. That's I don't want to get off topic, but that Remembrance Now is a phenomenal product because it's the only one out there that has the living benefits.
Yeah,
and it's the only product. It's in a category by itself.
It really is.
There's no competition. It is. There is not another product that has a simplified issue. You could buy. There's a dozen companies that have, answer 500 questions, but this one is wonderful.
So Mario, when we talked earlier, you had mentioned that you are kind of in a couple of different spaces. Do you work the underage senior market and the mortgage protection, or are you limited to just one or two of those?
Well, we in the underage market, we recognize the door of opportunity as wherever the problem is. And the problem, as we know it right now, if you turn on CNN or Fox News, is health insurance. It's a major problem. So we enter through that door, and of course, we help people with their health insurance. And in doing so, it allows us to table this product to them. And of course, we target business owners. So, these people have a real problem, and it makes it easy to unfold the Phoenix concept. Because we really sell it without the Phoenix. We try and we use the health insurance as a tool to get into the door, because it's a problem. It's a real problem.
So there's probably a deficit. You're probably identifying a deficit in either coverage or maybe even the out-of-pocket expenses, I imagine.
Well, the whole concept is, the key words we use is we believe in total coverage. So, John, whatever your budget is, okay, I don't want you to spend any more money. I just want to help you to spend it wiser. Those are my keywords, have been for the last several years.
Yeah, that's
so. If he's spending $1,500 a month, and I'm going to get him down to $800 a month, then $600 is going to be on health insurance and $200 is going to be on Phoenix. Because I present it as a solution, as complete coverage. Because if John is out sick and he's running a business or whatever, the health insurance pays the doctor in the hospital, and builds new hospitals and gets doctors big cars. Well, who's going to pay John? So if the agent's not making sure that John gets paid, he's not doing a good job. So that's why, from a fact-finding point of view, we make sure that we dovetail it completely.
It's more of a consultative type approach to the full coverage. Talking about completely covering all the needs rather than just identifying, the health need or the life need, the combination of the two together.
Yeah, it really does a good job, because you're throwing some really, again, it's not a long-term care product, but it behaves like one. I mean, what's really amazing again is, it isolates critical illness, but it also isolates chronic illness as any condition that, as long as you cannot do the two of the 6 ADLs, activities of daily living, it pays out. That's phenomenal. I mean, it really is. So you really feel better about your job with the client, because you've actually done a good job. You've opened their eyes. I can't tell you the times that clients have said, man, I didn't. Thank you so much. Thank you. And the over 65 market, the same thing. You know, every time you talk to a senior, like with an Advantage plan, I mean, you have to cover those gaps. You know, no health, even if a health insurance is a perfect plan, it still doesn't pay the client. So there's always going to be a gap. And that's what I like about this product. It covers the gap.
Yeah, the out-of-pocket expenses related to Medicare Advantage plans, you know, even on the low side is still $3,500 or $3,400, right around there. And then some of them are as much as $6,000. So that certainly is enough money to concern yourself with and put some protection in place. So, so are you using this term product for seniors? So I've had some folks asking questions about, you know, why are you placing a senior on a term product? What insight do you have for this kind of question?
Well, there's a lot of seniors out there that, you know, 65 is a very, it's not what it used to be. You know, maybe that's the new 55 or whatever. But there's a lot of 65, 67, 70-year-old people that want to buy some term insurance, believe it or not. And one thing I've learned is you can educate, but sometimes you just can't change your mind. And the reason why this term product is good for seniors is because that age bracket that they're exposed to a whole host of things. That's when the ante is really up in terms of heart issues, the cancer, you know, and as we age, things happen. And Phoenix is an extremely competitive product in that arena. And yes,
that's a great point. It might actually be, you know, a affordability factor as well.
And also the simplified issue. You know, I think it's already depending on I don't know what table it's already at, but it is a simplified issue. It's easy to walk them through, and they can get higher amounts. I think it's 400,000 to age 65. You know,
you're right. You're right, Mario. Absolutely. Yeah. And
nobody else does.
And you look at it also is that there's the safe harbor term, which is otherwise is equal to everybody else's standard rates out there with every other life insurance plan that you see. And you look at it and compare those standard rates with every other company that has a standard rate class on a simplified issue basis, and Phoenix comes up number one with the rate class. And so, David, you kind of asked before, why are seniors buying it, or why are agents selling it? Is another question. Is because it is one of the cheapest products out there in this particular marketplace, to where you can get, you know, a healthy face amount with all the living benefits, you know, and get it simplified issue, you know, easy issue for, you know, within 24 to 48 hours. Now, the other product is the Express product, and we haven't really talked about what's the difference between the two. And real briefly, it's just simply the Express product is built for clients that may have an impairment or two, a minor impairment. Perhaps, you know, they may have an adult onset diabetes, or they're overweight, or they may have had, you know, something in the past that, you know, again, fits them within, you know, 6 tables. And there's 4 to 6 tables, 6 tables with remembrance, and 4 tables with safe harbor term. And we're able to get those people issued again with all the living benefits. We don't peel out any of the living benefits. We issue them all with all the living benefits, where our competitors out there, they'll say, yeah, we'll take you, but we're not going to give you the critical and the chronic illness. Well, you know, Mario, I mean, that's pretty hard to come back to the client and say, after you sold them on all those living benefits, and then the insurance company just peeled them all out of there for you, and you got to go place that policy, right?
Absolutely. And matter of fact, I take advantage of the Express all the time. Just the other day, we pushed through 2 cases for Express because it just goes right through, bing, bing, bing. You know, if somebody, just like you said, if somebody doesn't take a whole lot of medications, just one or two, but they may have something out there that you really don't want to go into, that you don't have to go into. The Express has less questions, and the rates are good. And especially if they're under 40, the Express rates are the same as the regular rates, so you might as well use the Express rates. And it goes through within a matter of hours. I've had approvals come back the same day with Express. Matter of fact, just a couple of days ago, we had 2 come back the same day, approved. The very same within a couple of hours. I've seen it as quickly as soon as we put it in, it goes right through the system. And before I go and get a cold Coke out of my office, it's a half an hour later, it's approved.
I have
so
heard.
That's the truth. That is the truth.
I did have a question. Krista asked a question. She was interested in knowing whether we are recording the webinar or not. And yes, we are. The recording will be available at a later time. We're hosting all of the webinars from the Life After AEP series on our website. It's sort of a protected area, and you need to reach out to your marketer internally to gain access to those recorded webinars. But we will have them available, and you will have access to them. So thanks for asking that, Krista.
Great. And so, like I said, before I alluded to the pricing of the products, the pricing of the products are well ahead of, if you're out there, you're selling, Mutual of Omaha, you're selling Transamerica, you name them all, and you're not going to get a better price but from Phoenix than Phoenix can offer you, and it's going to get issued in a very timely fashion.
As a matter of fact, I'll reinforce that, Carter, because I have a quota. I'm sure we all have a quota of some sort for senior product, for final expense products, and I'll bring the quota up and I'll show Phoenix that it's normally within the top 3 or 4 in terms of the rate, for the final expense product for the Remembrance Now. But I'll say, hey, even if it was 25% more, this product, it could potentially stop you from having to go to a nursing home. Or if you have a stroke or a heart attack, this is the only part that's going to pay you while you're living. If you need a ramp built onto your house or your bathroom modified, if you have a $30,000 or $40,000 policy, you can get up to 95%. And they go, wow. And we have sold a ton of seniors like that. As a matter of fact, we have an agent who just came on board with us, and that's all he works exclusively in the senior market. And he was in my office yesterday, and I just explained to him, I said, look, I love that you sell plans. He sells about 15 plans a month, in the, Advantage plans or whatever, even in after AEP. I said, but you're leaving all the money on the table. God bless you for those plans, but if you just see what they have, see what life insurance policy they have, and a lot of times this will actually be less expensive and give them the living benefits. And Carter, we're getting him contracted with you guys just a couple of days, but it's a phenomenal product. And I didn't mean to interrupt, but I really want to reinforce what you're saying about the price.
Absolutely. And so I guess, Mario, you've really positioned the product, very well, not only, in the senior market, but the underage market, not only that, as well as the business marketplace. Key man, that's another one to where, if your key man, it could be a buy sell, but, key man's also, what happens if the key man doesn't die? What happens if they are one of the 3 out of the 4 Americans that have the chronic or critical illness, and they're the key person in your organization? This policy can not only pay the key person while they're out of work, but also pay the business to replace that key person. So, there's limitless opportunities for living benefits for everybody else out there, and to be able to do that. So, absolutely. And as far as let's talk a little bit about how to come to, as far as the registration process. Do you want to talk about that, David?
Yeah. Essentially, I think it's important that everybody knows how they can gain access to the e-app. So I know you've got some information on that. So why don't you cover that just a moment?
Yeah, absolutely. And so what's going to happen is that, and this is going to be in conjunction with the contest that we're going to be holding. You're going to get an email from your marketer, and that email is going to have a link. And the link is for new agents to be able to register and to be able to write a piece of business right after this webinar. And so it's basically, name, address, social. And with that, we're going to go ahead and also send you a link to get appointed with Phoenix Safe Harbor Term or Remembrance, and you would be able to then again utilize that the e-application process once you get connected into the Phoenix website, which is the Phoenix SalesNet website here. And so after that, you're going to, just be able to sell just like if you were licensed the entire time. And what we're going to do is, if my computer would work, we're going to go ahead and show you the contest.
While you're grabbing that, Carter, I want to make sure that everybody knows in the event that you are brand new to our agency and have not yet contracted for the Phoenix product and would like to. Please put in the chat window, yes, appoint me, or yes, contract me, or call me so I can appoint, or so call me so I can contract. Put that in the chat window, and what I'll do is I'll divide it out to one of our marketers here to give you a call and make sure you have access to be able to write this product just as quickly as you can, so that you can be in the mix of the opportunity for the extra cash.
And here's another thing that I'll do. We talked about newly contracted agents, but we don't want to leave out the agents that have been, contracted with us, but just haven't written any business. And, there's some of you guys out there that, may have gotten contracted, but didn't really write with Remembrance or didn't write with Safe Harbor Term. So, what I would like to do is not only, extend a promotion to newly contracted agents to be one of the first 2 agents. But if you've been contracted with us for over 6 months and you haven't written a piece of business, I'm gonna treat you as a newly contracted agent, and we'll be one of the first 2 agents with 3 or more paid policies within the next 30 days. You can earn an additional $250 for being on this webinar, and we're going to include not only newly contracted agents, they have they can start writing business today as well, but as well as some of you guys have been out there and maybe this has been something you've been wanting to write, and you're on the webinar, and it sounds like you've taken some of the tips from Mario or myself and David, and you might have a few cases to write. Why don't you get paid an extra $250? So we hope you're one of those first 2 agents in order to be able to do that, and to be able to take advantage of that contest. I hope I didn't change up the contest too much for you there, David.
No, that's actually what we thought was happening. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew because here we are trying to attract new agents to the platform as well, and I wanted to make sure they knew that they'd have access to it immediately.
Yeah, and let me try to find, here's again, some of the numbers that you'd be able to call the home office directly, but we'd rather you call, your marketer directly and get the information there. Here, this is the simple, email address in order to be able to send in new business. But the best way to be able to do is call AmeriLife directly, call your marketer, and get on board with this, and start and be the first ones to make it happen.
Yeah, that's something that's kind of like I guess one of the ways that I've been closing the webinar, for the last several webinars is basically challenging the people who have spent the hour with us to go out and give the carrier a shot and try it out to kick the tires a little bit, as I think Biff said on the last one is, basically give it a shot and let's see, how well they impress you, and then continue the process. One of the reasons these webinars are, put on is so that you can, have some comfort with a better understanding of the product. And a lot of times that doesn't get translated over, a 20-minute marketing telephone call that we make out to you. Sometimes it's, multiple telephone calls that sort of start to open up the reality of the picture of what this product brings to the table. And rather than doing it one at a time, it's always, I think, very, very efficient for us to spend some time together and really learn what it is that each one of the products brings to the table. What are the gold nuggets? And I think we found a lot of gold nuggets today with Phoenix Safe Harbor term. So, be sure to put that knowledge to use. And again, I challenge you to get out and write some business. Give the carrier the opportunity to impress you. And if you do have questions, all of the marketers here on the floor have access to all the information you may need. And can relay that over to you very, very quickly. If you feel like you need some one-on-one help, feel free to reach out to myself and just let me know you need help. And no matter who your marketer is in this office, I will be glad to help you. I'll help that marketer as well if there's something that maybe needs to be trained and taught. So. While I don't know everything, that's why I have Carter here and Mario to help. And we're really, really glad that you joined us, and we hope to be able to, just continue to do business with you and bring you more value. So with that being said, Mario, thank you for shedding that field insight on the webinar with us. I appreciate you coming to work with us today and all your time. I know it's valuable.
You're certainly welcome, and thank you guys for everything that you do as well.
So also,
thank you, Mario.
Carter, you and I go way, way back, and you are a good, close personal friend of mine. And so I love the opportunity for us to do business together on a forum like this. I'd like it to also turn into some business opportunity for you. So I'm really, really, proud and happy to have you on the webinar today to share your valuable product with our agents on the line. And agents out there, thank you so much for attending. We appreciate your time. Carter, did you have any sort of, closing words for us?
You know what? I think this product is so simple and so easy. I mean, it was an hour-long webinar, and we've managed to stretch it to 45 minutes and give you another 15 minutes left in your day, which, it's just too simple of a product not to try it out. And if that's the challenge, and hopefully you'll be, again, one of the first two agents in order to be able to get that $250. And I appreciate the opportunity to be able to present here today and work with you, David, again. And it's always a pleasure, my friend.
So everybody out there on the webinar, if you have a question, stick it in the chat window real quick. We'll try to address it before we drop the call. But, as a commercial for the remainder of the webinar, we do have another webinar tomorrow. If you can kindly tell me how you made your way to the webinar series, whether you saw it in an email, whether you saw it on LinkedIn, tell me where you saw or got the invitation. If it came from your marketer, that's fantastic. Please tell me by putting your information or the way that you learned about this webinar series in the chat window. We love to know where that came from. We've got another bonus webinar coming up next week. It's on the 15th. And so look for information about that webinar in your email. Look for it on LinkedIn. I'm going to be making that announcement come Monday. Really valuable webinar that we want to be able to share with you. And so, be sure to check in with us. We are going to continue our webinar process. We've got a lot of stuff already on the design floor for things moving forward. All kinds of interesting things coming down the pike. So be sure to check in with your marketer to see what's coming next. And if you haven't linked up with us, the AmeriLife Marketing Group on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, we are out there on all those social media platforms. Be sure to tap into that. You can always find me, David Paul, on LinkedIn. That's a real great way to sort of connect and be in the know. So again, thank you so much for attending, and don't forget, life is good. Sell it. Have a good day, everybody.